Hi, I am Kajer on Two Wheels, and today we are going to do the first Patreon suggested video. So today's topic is, as was suggested by a Patreon, are level 2 protectors worth it? So the first question which probably popped into your minds is, what is a level 2 protector? A level 2 protector is basically a protector that is certified with the European certification for level 2. The European certification, with which, out of the top of my head, I think it is 21661, and then semicolon and the year number, because they evolve over time, and then the level number, something like, which is what my back protector now says, 21661 2013 2. So it's the 2013 standard level 2. So there are two levels for the protectors for your back, and then another slightly different certification, which is actually 21662 is the back, 21661 is the shoulders. So these are actual lab tests done. It's not something that the dealers themselves or the manufacturers themselves say, yeah, this works. No, it's independently tested to make sure it actually does what it's supposed to be doing. And the test, let's talk a bit more about the test itself. So the test for these protectors is actually quite simple. It is simply a mass of 5 kilograms, which is dropped from a height that makes it impact the protector at a speed of 4.5 meters per second, which is roughly 16 kilometers per hour or 10 miles per hour in American. 5 kilograms is 10 pounds in American. So that results in a 50 joule of energy impact, and that can only pass on to the surface plate underneath a total of 35 kilonewtons for level 1 or 20 kilonewtons for level 2. The back protector, the test is a bit more stringent, allowing only 18 kilonewtons for level 1 and 9, which is half, for level 2. And also the impactor, in the first case it is a square of 5 centimeters by 4. In the second case it is dropped on a cylinder representing your spine, and it is a triangular or a conical impactor, so it simulates piercing. So summing up, the test basically is dropping a 1 kilogram weight from a height of 5 meters, or doing the equivalent. Physics is nice in that you don't need a 5 meter drop to simulate the impact, which equates to 50 joules of impact, of energy transferred, and that can only pass on, and this is certification level 1, can only pass on 2000 kilonewtons of force on to the plate which is underneath, or meaning your body. Now 2000 kilonewtons is a huge amount, it's a huge number. 2 kilonewtons, sorry, I wasn't expecting it to be that high. 2 kilonewtons is 2000 newtons, which is 200 kilograms. No way, hang on, is it 2000? 2 kilonewtons or 2000 kilonewtons or 20 kilonewtons. Yeah, sorry, my bad, I'm being silly. 20 kilonewtons or 20,000 newtons, which is 2000 kilograms, which is 2 metric tons of force that goes onto your body. That is a lot of force coming in from a 1 meter object falling from 1 kilogram object falling from a height of 5 meters. 5 meters is basically 2 stories high. Or slightly less than 2 stories high. That is quite a lot. The actual test is a 5 kilogram object hitting the impactor or the protector at 16 kilometers per hour. 10 miles per hour, basically. Or around that. Actually, yeah, it's 16 point something. I wouldn't be surprised if it's 10 miles per hour or very close to 10 miles per hour. But that equates to a 5 kilogram object. For you Americans, 5 kilos is about the weight of a big cat or a very, very small dog, or 2 laptops, not Apple ones, those are very light, but 2.5 laptops, or what else is a rear tire, for example, is an empty rear tire off the rim, just the rubber, is about 3 to 5 kilos. So it's heavy, but yeah, it's mass. So level 1, 20 kilonewtons. Level 2 reduces that to 15 kilonewtons, so that's a 25% decrease, I think. Yeah, I guess so. I'm not going to do math while riding. Try that, didn't work. So you get a more expensive protector, but it absorbs 25% extra energy, which is actually pretty good. The back protector is slightly different. Being that your back is slightly more important than your shoulder or your elbow, the tests are a bit more stringent. The test apparatus is slightly different. I think it's got a pointy end, and then the test says that it can only pass at maximum the same 50 joule impact should only be able to pass the certification 18 kilonewtons, which you will notice is less than the shoulder one for level 1, and for level 2 it is a moderate 9 kilonewtons, which is half. So for your back, a level 2 protector will reduce the impact by 50% compared to the level 1. It's not a 50% flat on any impact. You're not going to be able to survive a nuclear blast, okay? So it's a 50% decrease from level 1, which is quite a lot, okay? So the question is basically answered. Is it worth it? Yes, of course it is. It was answered right off the bat. More safety is always better. Except, and here's the except, there are always drawbacks, meaning a stronger protector is probably going to be heavier. It's probably going to be stiffer. And while from a safety point of view, yes, you want to, sometimes not really, because it will be a bit more uncomfortable. It might lead you to not wearing that jacket because it's heavy and not quite as comfortable as the other one, which is lighter. Okay, so that defeats the purpose of the level 2 protectors. Then again, manufacturers have been improving these materials immensely, but for the level 1s they use basically all of them use roughly the same thing. There's not much difference, it's cheaper, and they just make the one they're used to, the one they mass fabricate, and so to keep the costs down so people buy their equipment. Level 2 is a different story. On level 2 your customer is actively trying to find your product for a purpose, so they try to do it as good as they can. So sometimes, and actually a bit more than sometimes as time moves on, the level 2 protectors are actually thinner, lighter and more flexible, because they manage to engineer materials using more advanced materials, using different geometry. For example, I know there's one that uses a kind of a flexible plastic on a trellis configuration, so that it's very stiff in one direction and very flexible on the other, so you can bend your knee easily, and yet it will protect you with a level 2 level of protection when you're hitting something head on. That's 8 minutes slower, so I'm going back. I made a poo-poo. No, I'm not. No, I'm not. Google. So you have to consider the weight and the flexibility and the comfort you'll be giving up or not giving up if your protector is of that kind. If the protector for your jacket is of that kind, it's more advanced, lighter, go for it. There's no drawbacks, go for it. There are also extra protectors. The back usually comes as separate on all jackets, but I hardly recommend it. But some jackets, some brands have extra protectors. For example, a longer protector for your arms. I think Alpinestars has one that goes nearly all the way to the wrist. Alpinestars also has one that protects your chest, on special pocket protectors on your chest. It depends. Those are a bit different. One, their utility might be a bit debatable. The chest protector, well, it seems, yeah, I like my chest. well, your ribs are really stiff and you don't really get that many impacts on the chest. Dirt biking aside, where you hit hard things hard, road going, you usually fall on your side and then you slide. That's why your protectors are usually on your sides and not on the front. And when you fall on your side, you usually hit your knee on the ground. That's why the protectors are where they are. The chest, yeah, you can hit this or this, but okay, it's useful, but, and so they are optional. And being optional, they will add weight and discomfort to the jacket, so you have to weigh that. One that's optional that I also recommend is the hip protector, because they only need to do it for your knees, although some are now starting to do on your hips, because your hips do get a fair whack, and while your hip is quite resilient, a little bit of protection on the hip helps. Even if it's not even a level 1 protector, it's just something, it helps. If it's a level 1, great. If it's a level 2, awesome. But it's added weight and discomfort and awkwardness when you're putting it on, because it's another piece of kit that might get snagged on stuff. That's a lot of, what the hell is this? So that's yet another piece of kit that might get snagged on something while you're putting it on, etc. So on those optional protectors, you can think a bit. However, again, from a safety point of view, yes, put it all in. But consider this, let's say you're going to go cross-country, not like Portugal where cross-country is a 2-hour ride, except you're going north to south, it's just a couple of days, but let's go you're going across the US, which is several days. A slight discomfort for extra weight suddenly becomes a big deal. Over several days that begins to add up, and comfort is safety. If you're comfortable, you're more alert, so that's, let's say, semi-active protection. Okay, so that is the only drawback, that is the only case where you might not want to buy an extra protector or a level 2 protector. If it's much more uncomfortable or slightly more uncomfortable, but you're going to use it for a long time. Okay? That's the only time I can see that you will not want to buy one, and of course if you can't afford it. The other time where you should not buy a level 2 protection, and that's because there's just no use to it, is very simple. If you ride with jacket, gloves and helmets, don't get the level 2 protector. Get pants and get boots. You're trading the money you're using or wasting on 25% extra protection on your shoulders and 50% extra on your back is basically 50% protection all over your body, because you're adding protection to your legs and your feet, which gets really mangled in accidents, as I proved. Okay, so only get level 2 protectors when you already got the full kit. Until then, use your money on more bang for buck, which is the pants and the boots and gloves. On the other hand, I'll have to check if all my gloves are also CE approved, because thanks to this Patreon which suggested this video, and this video is basically over, so you can tune out if you want, but thanks to the Patreon that suggested this video, I have to do some research, and I had no idea that there's an actual CE certification for this. I thought it was just like, okay, the CE certification is just the generic CE certification, that there are no hazardous materials and that it's fit for purpose and things like that. I did not know they actually do a proper scientific test of impact absorption. I thought it was just like abrasion. Then again, we might even have a certification for abrasion that I don't know of yet. But there's an actual certification that proves that this actually does, and that one CE protector will protect at least as well as another CE protector, which is great. I had no idea. So yeah, thanks for the suggestion. I learned a lot. So I'm going to check if my gloves are CE rated and which parts are CE rated, because yes, you can have, for example, gloves which are CE rated, but the only protector that's actually CE rated is, for example, the knuckles, and this protector here isn't. Makes sense. Some parts of your body don't need that full protection, might need just a slight bump, like for example this here, and so might not be certified. But I guess the manual for these things will tell you that. Cool. That gives a whole new perspective, because this way manufacturer can tell exceeds or complies with level 2 or exceeds level 2 by X%, and then you have a fair good idea of exactly what you're buying, which is a great improvement. See guys, that's what European Union does for you. Okay, so I don't know how is it in other countries out of Europe, how is it in the US. I have no idea if you have these certifications, but if you buy gear that's from European makers like Dainese, Alpine Stars, Revit, nearly all of them, they quite likely have the certification numbers there, because it's simply more expensive to build some that don't have that thing pressed onto them. So they will likely have it, so you also know what you are buying. So the European Union is actually helping people from other countries, unless you have your own ratings, which is a topic for another video that I just thought of, which is the multiple and sometimes conflicting helmet certifications. For example, the Australian helmet certification is downright dangerous, DOT is basically useless, and then you have the 2 European ones which are good for different things, but that's a topic for another video. This was just, is it worth it to buy level 2 protectors? Yes, yes it is. It's safety, of course it is worth it. If you can afford it, go for it. If you can't, well, you can't. This way? Are you sure, Google? Take the next left. I made a big poo-poo. Hey, look, no feet down. Okay, so that's it. Cage route.